Bird droppings, bird waste, help a nation prosper? Exactly like that. First, imagine. Imagine you are in the middle of the ocean. That is Pacific Ocean. All around is deep blue water, not a soul in sight. Then suddenly a tiny dot appeared. That is Nauru. Nauru has an area of just over 21 kilometers quadrat. This is a small island nation, the most in the world. To make it easier to visualize you, it is possible to go around this island in 1 hour, 3 to 4 hours, because the main road runs. The coastline is only a few miles long, just a dozen kilometers. Nauru is located in the South Pacific. Bin Duong, about 42 kilometers from the equator to the south. If you open Google Map, you will find it lonely and lost, without a rock any other island within 300-kilometer radius. Near especially an island of Kiribati also away 300 kilometers, even further away is the Solomon Islands more than 1,000 kilometers away. Or like Papua New Guinea, then also about 2,000 kilometers away. This isolated location is the reason why Nauru becomes an ideal stopover not for people but for millions seabird. And this is also the origin for their treasure of guano. Nauru is an atoll, which means it formed from coral remains formed over millions of years. This island has the shape oval with a narrow coastal strip surrounded by coral reefs while the water down. In the center is a high, the plateau is about a few dozen meters high. With the seawater where the phosphate mine used to be, the thing that changed the fate of Nauru. But after centuries of exploitation, this mine looks like a moonland full of slow-moving limestone columns. Barren, treeless, and uninhabitable, yes. Nauru's climate is tropical, hot, humid, and rainy zone. Average temperature ranges from 28 to 32 due for. Sea can be higher, like Hanoi in dry season. Rain varies from heavy to light. Medium average about 2,000 millimeters per year. But the drought also occurs, frequently causing the island to severe freshwater shortage. Nauru does not have river or stream, freshwater mainly weak from rooftop water collection or is imported from Australia. One special point is that the island has a freshwater lagoon named after Isboda Lagoon, where people raise fish and plant some trees like banana, papaya, but the area is too small and the output is again insignificant. Another interesting thing is that Nauru doesn't have natural. Ships wanting to dock must anchored offshore and cargo was transferred to the island by small boats, the channels of life. This makes the import or export, even if it is a scam old, the source of revenue that helped Nauru become a leading country in the world, costly and complicated. Now comes the fun part. How can bird droppings transform? Nauru becomes a super rich island nation? Thousands of years ago, Nauru was ideal stopover for these species, migratory seabirds such as ospreys, seagull, or seagull. Because the island is isolated, the Pacific has nowhere else to go. But the bird rests, tired of flying, then it must. Nauru becomes a toilet country nature of millions of birds. Bird droppings accumulated over centuries to form layer up to more than 10 meters thick, covering up to 80% area of the path. Under the influence of rain, temperature, and chemical reactions with coral oil, calcium carbonate, guano converted into pH pad ore, a mineral pure and extremely valuable petroleum jelly phosphate is the main raw material for production. Chemical fertilizer production, helping plants fast growing, high yielding, especially in agriculture today. In addition, it also used for food processing example as preservative, manufacturing materials, fire, and even in the work chemical industry. In the 1920s, when the world began to industrialize agriculture industry, demand for phosphate skyrocketed, and Nauru suddenly became a white land of time. In 1900, a British geologist had name is Albert Fuller Ellis, who works for Fat Pacific Company, Situation Flag discovered phosphate ore on the island while analyzing a rock sample. He realized that this is a golden opportunity, and a few years after mining began, at that time, Nauru was a German colony after the transfer to England, Australia, and New Zealand for management. Foreign companies exploit phosphate, distribute, and pay to indigenous people, but most of the profits go into the pocket of the British and Australians. A substitute changed Nauru, that is when this country won independence in 1968. The Norwegian government under the leadership of President Hummer Rubb, phosphate mining industry privatization established the Nauru Phosphate Company. From here, money began to flow in like water. In those 70s, 80s, Now was one of the richest countries in the world, calculated by GDP per capita. In 1975, Nauru's GDP per capita was estimated to be around 50 a year, just behind Saudi Arabia, while the US at that time only about 19 a year. Some sources even claim that at the time, peak average income now reaches 200 a year, the number which even now makes many people must give gold. Every year, Nauru mines exploit and export about 1 to 2 million tons of phosphate, mainly to Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Korea, bring in millions of dollars, US dollars. The government set up a fund called the Fund. Oru Trust intends to use this money to invest to resolve the problem, ensure the future for generations to come. But in reality, money spend more than save. The Oru people live in houses called the Golden House of Real Billionaires. Government provides everything for free fees, housing, electricity, water, healthcare, education. People do not have to pay income tax. Individual. Each average family owns 2 to 4 cars, from economy cars to supercars like Lamborghini or is Rolls-Royce. It is said that the car is only parked indoors because of the island. Too small, run it for a few minutes, and it will be gone. Nauruan children are sent to study in Australia, New Zealand, even in the US on scholarship total. Patients with serious illness are sent to Australia for treatment, all free of charge fees. Nauru also purchased 5 Boeing 737s, established an airline named Uru, article across the Pacific and even to Asia, Europe. They invest in real estate, production in Australia, building luxury hotels in Africa, and buy skyscrapers in Mainburn, named it Nauru House. People have almost no work. Phosphate mining is mainly done by migrant workers from Kiribati, Tuvalu, or China takes over. The people here just spend money. They import processed food, hamburgers, chicken fried makes traditional diet including fish, coconuts, and bananas were replaced. The result is the rate of obesity and type 2 diabetes has skyrocketed, with more than 30% of the population suffering from diabetes, the highest road in the world at the time there. Now story is like a book. Book with the first chapter is dream and the last chapter is a nightmare. From a country richest of all, Nauru falls to rock bottom in just a few decades. Here are the reasons for this collapse. First of all, photospat resource depletion. Photospat not a renewable resource in the 70s. Nauru exploited 2 level with output up to more than 2 million tons per year by the 1990s. The main mines have been exhausted, and the remaining secondary mines, again, it is too difficult to exploit, the cost is too high, not economically efficient. To those in 2000, production was only under 500,000 tons per year. And to date, almost nothing left to dig. Hard to report. Birds, which once made Now rich, are now disappeared. Money from Fodosh comes too easy, but the Nauru government doesn't know how to use wisely. Instead of invest in diverse industries or education to solve the problem, they spend too much extravagance. One notable project is the play is called Leonardo da Mio in London. They invested $7 million but failed miserably. Not getting a win, any other investments such as hotels, buildings, or shares in those foreign companies are more and more loss-making. Fund the Nauru Trust was established to ensure future is poorly managed. Financial advice from Australia and the UK is not understood. What kind of advice to give such words bad advice? And a large portion of the fund was lost due to bad investment or corruption. By the year 2004, Nauru is almost bankrupt, in debt in addition to tens of millions of dollars, while the financial national assets were sold off to pay off debts. The Now people also contributed to the tragedy. This drama. They're too happy. They are used to living extravagant, inactive, and unprepared, careful for the future. Money runs out, know how to support yourself, me. A generation that grew up in luxury, happy, suddenly fall into unemployment and poverty. Phosphate mining has been devastated. Destroyed most of the island's area. The plateau was once home to phosphate mines. Now only limestone remains. Soil saline, unable to grow crops or live live. Tropical forests are also cleared to take the soil to exploit. Deeply dig around erosion protection capital is also damaged by mining waste. Nauru consequences lost the ability to provide for oneself. Lack of fresh water is also a big problem. Other dry land without rivers, streams. Nauru depends on rainwater and from desalination plant, but this system frequently broken or underpowered rate due to lack of money. The United Nations said that more than half of households in the country this has difficulty in accessing clean water regularly. Education system. Education also collapsed after the Hoan-Kiem period. Money is tight, study abroad program cut back, school lacks teachers, lack of infrastructure, unemployment rate up to 90% in the early 2000s because no more industry phosphate. People fall into a life of dependent on aid and subsidies from low-paying jobs. Now come to the present. Nauru now is a very different place than it was then golden. If you think living on a tropical island is paradise with beaches, blue sea, and coconut trees will be now make you D,